Hey, what's going on, my ASVAB party people? Anderson here, your ASVAB coach. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and go through two challenge problems that we had in a previous group tutoring session that we did. So for right now, that was yesterday's class. And so again, we had two challenge problems for proportions that we're going to tackle right now. So before I begin, make sure to smash that like button, give a comment after you're done. That way you can keep supporting this channel and we can keep putting out great content for students like you who are trying to get the score they want and the military job they deserve. Let's jump right into it. So this first question here. On a town map, 1 inch represents a distance of half a mile. If Henry and Roger's houses are 1.5 feet apart on the map, how far apart do they live? All right, so go ahead if you want to take a second to pause the video, give the problem a shot before I go over the solution. Sure, go ahead, do your thing. So I'm going to go ahead and begin right now. So here we go. First things first, whenever it comes to a word problem, remember, we want to start with the question. We want to give ourselves the opportunity to know, hey, what the heck is going on? Right? Like, what are we trying to do here? Yeah, because the reason is if we start with all of the information, if we read 1 inch, half a mile, 1.5 feet, your mind is automatically going to start asking, okay, what the heck is going on? Why do I need this? Is this important? Should I write this down? Right? All of that anxiety, we want to kick it to the curb here because what we're going to do is just focus on the objective and then see what's available to us to help us with that objective. So watch this. Right here, how far apart do they live? That is the question. How far apart do they? And by they, we mean Henry and Roger. Okay? So, all right, there we go. So we're looking for how far apart do they live. So we can say Henry and Roger right here. Henry and Roger live blank. And you see the answers here are all in miles. So I'm going to go ahead and say that blank miles. Live blank miles apart. All right, cool. And that's in reality. We're asking about the reality of the situation here. Now, notice that right before here, we have some information that's attached. We have, hey, Henry and Roger's houses are 1.5 feet apart on the map. All right, so Henry and Roger live, m miles apart. But over here, what I'm going to say is 1.5 feet apart on the map. Okay, so right here, m miles apart and 1.5 feet on the map. Now, why is that important? Now, remember, when it comes to proportions, the main idea, and write this down if you've never written this down, is that you have to compare the same things in the same way. So I'm going to show you exactly what that means in a moment here. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the given information here. So this information that we have, we see that 1 inch represents half a mile. So on the map, we see that 1 inch on the map translates to 0.5 miles in reality. So what does that mean? Well, we need to make sure that we compare the same things in the same way. Notice how we have 1.5 feet on the map. So where does that belong? Right here on the map. You see how we have on map right there? On map? Yeah. We have to compare the same things in the same way. So 1.5 feet on map apparently represents the m miles that Henry and Roger live apart. So think about that. Remember, compare the same things in the same way. Compare the same things in the same way. Now actually just duplicate that way we have it there. Now here's the cool thing, everybody. Here's the cool thing. Map, reality. Map, reality. That's the same comparison. We're comparing the same things in the same way. But be very careful here. Be very, very careful. Because not only do you have to make sure that the same things are being compared in the same way, you got to make sure that the units line up as well. Because notice how we're going from map in inches to reality, miles, map in feet to miles in reality. So again, inches and feet, not going to work out. We need to convert. We need to make sure we have the same units. So before I set the proportion up, what I have to do is, again, take that 1.5 feet, turn it into inches. So what's 1.5 feet in inches? Well, 1 foot's 12 inches. Half a foot is 6 inches. So we can confidently say that we have 12 plus 6, which is 18 inches. Again, rewind this if you need to. The idea is, hey, 1.5 feet, multiply it by 12, you get 18. Or 1.5, so 12 inches for a whole foot, 6 inches for half a foot. Again, 18 inches. So we can go ahead and erase this right here. and we can say 18 inches on the map. Now we're good. Now we're good because everything's lined up the right way. And so with that said, boom, we're going to say 1 to 0.5. So 1 over 0.5 equals 18 to m. So 18 over m. Notice again, we are comparing the same things in the same way. 1 inch, 0.5. 18 to m. And there you have it. And so one thing you want to know here is really how to take care of proportions without always cross multiplying and dividing. There's actually a really interesting way, and it's simply by looking at the comparison itself. Notice how 1 inch in the map, half a mile in reality. So it looks like the ratio is half. You are cutting it in half. And so what's 18 cut in half? That is going to be 9. And so m equals 9 here. But if you needed to cross multiply and divide, that still is going to work because 1 times m is m. 18 times 0.5 or half is 9. So either way, both checks out, but I really want to show you again both ways to do it. And so if you enjoyed that first solution, great. If you are a little confused in terms of, oh, whoa, I don't even know proportions yet. Well, don't worry. What I want you to do is go ahead and make sure that you're watching a video on proportions to understand the basics of it. If there's a recording that I made, it's going to be on this channel if it's available to you. But if you'd like more of these, if you'd like more lessons to go through practice, that way we can walk through every single thing, hey, then the group tutoring pass is going to be for you. I'm going to drop a link in the description of this video to all of my resources. That way you can continue acing the ASVAB to get that score you want. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next problem. So D was the answer here. Let's take a look at this second problem now. So a grocery store sells 2 bags of apples for each bag of celery. The store also sells 5 bags of grapes for every bag of apples. If the store sells 40 bags of grapes today, how many bags of celery did it sell? So this is a problem where multiple steps are required. We need more than one step, probably 3 steps here because we have 3 different comparisons. So with that said, we need to make sure that we understand again, hey, not all the problems are going to be nice and clean and laid out for you. Sometimes you need to use a little bit of intuition, some reasoning to make sure you get it done. So I don't want anybody here shying away from a good challenge. These are great challenges. Now let's make sure we tackle this the right way. First step, as always, just read the question. So right here, how many bags of celery did it sell? All right, so we want the bags of celery sold. So we have blank bags of celery sold. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just going to say C for right now, just in case any other variable. Now, what information do we have that's connected to celery? That's my next question. Like, okay, I'm trying to find celery, but what the heck is connected to celery, right? So let's go ahead and take a look here. Grocery store sells 2 bags of apples for every bag of celery. Right there. 2 bags apple for every bag of celery. So I'm going to take orange here. Right there. So 2 apples translates to 1 celery. 1 bag of celery. You can be as detailed or as shorthanded as you want. Remember, if it's test time, you want to go shorthand. So there we are. 2 apples means 1 celery. So if we have the number of apples, think about it. Cut it in half to get celery. Because if we had 4 apples, that'd be 2 bags of celery. If we had 6 apples, 3 bags of celery. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. All that means is you have half the amount of celery as you do apples. So whatever you have for apples, cut it in half. All right, so I'm done explaining it in a lengthy way here. Now we're going to go ahead and say, okay, since we know the relationship between celery and apples, where's apples? Do we have the number of apples? Because if we have the number of apples, then we can go ahead and solve this really easy. So let's keep looking here. Sells 5 bags of grapes for every bag of apples. Okay, there's apples, but it's connected to grapes now. Okay, what do we have about grapes? Oh, we see the store sold 40 bags of grapes now. So we got to go from grapes all the way to apples, then all the way to celery. That's what makes this problem a little more difficult. Now, you can use proportions to solve this, but I'm going to show you how to do it in the intuitive way. So watch this. The other piece of information that I got right here, 5 bags of grapes for every bag of apples. The key word there is for every. That's really what forms the relationship. That's how you know they're connected. So we have 5 grapes translates to 1 apple. So watch this. Watch how I'm going to do this. It's going to be really, 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 really smooth. Because what I notice here is that I got 5 times the amount of grapes as I do apples. So since I have 40 bags of grapes here, what does that mean? Look, To go from 5 grapes to 1 apple, that's going to be a division of 5, right? So if I'm translating grapes to apples, that's a division of 5. And so therefore, what I'm going to do here is see that I got 40 grapes. And notice again, I can divide by 5 here to go left to right. You can also make the relationship and say, 1 times 5 will get you 5. And the backwards of that is just dividing by 5, okay? So we see here, compare the same things in the same way. Divide by 5. So I'm going to divide by 5 again. 40 divided by 5 is 8 apples. Now, 8 is not the answer though. Be very careful. We have the number of apples now. We were looking for celery. And remember earlier, don't forget, we said that 2 apples translates to 1 celery. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. The number of apples is double celery. So if I'm trying to go from apples to celery, let me use orange here. If I'm trying to go from apples to celery, guess how I'm going to do that? Oh, I just forgot that 40 is right there. But what's going to happen here is that, hey, look, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. Divide the apples by 2 to go down to celery. And so that's exactly what I'll do. Divide by 2 to get 4 bags of celery. And that's why C is the answer. And so again, my ASVAB party people, remember, being consistent and asking the right questions is going to get you to where you want to be. That score you want is not that elusive. You can practice, and as long as you're consistent, you will continue growing. And so if you're trying to ace the ASVAB and raise your score the right way, go ahead, reach out to me, check out the description of this video for all the links, and make sure to smash that like and comment. That way, we can continue making great videos for you. If you're subscribed, even better to this channel. That way, again, we can keep making great content for you guys to keep helping you and everybody else understand that it is possible to get the score you want. So, with that said, my ASVAB party people, I'll see you in the next video, and cheers, keep raising that score. Let's go.